Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Does Metal Have Soul podcast. I am one of your hosts, Mr. Levi Clay, and I am here with Gizmo herself, Melisa Kelly. How's it going?
I'm good, yeah. Happy days.
Happiest of days.
Yeah. Happy Easter to everyone who
It
might
is
be
Easter,
watching.
yeah. I didn't realise that until about halfway through the day.
And also, like, if you celebrate Easter, I hope you had a good one, because I don't know when this will go out.
Wednesday.
A couple of days after. But if you don't celebrate Easter, hail Satan and whatever it is that you celebrate. I hope you have a wonderful
we
time.
are going to be talking about the band SLAYER today, and they are very much of the Hail Satan camp. So
All I'm saying is, the only thing that I celebrate that's fictional. Okay, that was bitchy. Not that the Bible's fictional.
are you going to say Rocky Horror?
No, Hogswatch. Which
Hogswatch.
is the Christmas on the Discworld in
I
Terry
see,
Pratchett
okay.
novels.
You absolute dork.
I know.
So we are, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about SLAYER today. I've got a little playlist of tracks to look at. We're going to talk about some Metalhead Musings, of course, and we are doing our best to dial back the length of the show. So we're
Yes.
going to try and keep things moving at a good pace today. That was the plan for last week. I thought it was going to be a short one, and it
And it
ended
ended
up
up
being...
being a fucking huge beast. For instance, normally I just cut music out and that doesn't take much time up. But I ended up cutting out huge sections. So there's going to be a big 2-hour one
Yeah.
that's on Patreon. Go over to Patreon. A big 2-hour one on Patreon, but only like a 1 hour 25 on.
I'm a little bit
YouTube.
furious that this light that I have up here... Oh, look at my hand. This light that I have up here, which is...
Sorry. So,
big hand. I have an Elgato key light Air up there and a regular Elgato key light here, and you can see there's another Elgato key light. Now these are the ones that I use for filming because I sit there and the lights hit me. This one's just for while I'm sat at my desk. This one's just stopped connecting to the system,
you look mysterious.
so it's lower in brightness, and also the colour of the light is off. And I get irked by silly little things.
Yeah.
But what can I do about it?
I mean, you know what? It almost ties into a Metalhead Musing. We won't get there just yet. I also had a very positive gigging experience on Friday, which made me feel very happy.
It's a nice change of pace.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a lovely gig on Friday. It was part of a sort of Easter celebration weekend they were having at Corset Club. It was so lovely. I sold a bunch of books. I have a book. I'll put it up on screen. Ting. And it was just nice, and everyone had a lovely time, and it was very rewarding.
Good.
You know,
Yeah.
sometimes being a musician, you're like, can I have one of those gigs where everyone really cares and listens?
I've not played a piano gig with you in a while, which is fine. So I've just been playing the piano. Like, I was going to play the piano there, but of course we're not recording the piano. So
Sure.
you're currently hearing the best piano playing you've ever heard. Just,
Yeah.
I'm sure Mel can edit something in there.
Do it again.
There we go.
Okay. I'll be sure there's something fabulous in there.
Yes. Okay, so do you want to jump onto some Metalhead Musings? And
I
while
do.
you're digging these out, or are you going to say something?
No, on you go.
And while you're digging those out, I will just remind everybody, if you enjoy the podcast, leave a comment in the comments section. It helps. Hit the subscribe button. It helps. Tell a friend about the show. It helps. You could be the person that helps to stop the podcast dying.
It could be you. I'll be honest, much like a lot of creative endeavours in my life, if we get to 6 months and the views are still pretty low, I don't regret.
No,
I don't
of course
regret
not.
a single. I had the time of my life.
But that's just it, isn't it? It's like we're sat here having a conversation and we're having a good time doing that. And we like making the videos and we like people being able to see the videos. But at the same time, it takes a lot of time to make the videos. So it's more a question of, could we be using that time for something that ends up being a little bit more effective?
Yes.
Because, of course, being self-employed musicians, we have to manage our time as effectively as possible.
Well, so one of the comments, unfortunately, has been deleted. Now, I'm certain it was YouTube, because the person who...
Well, you don't delete comments, do you?
No, I don't. The only time that ever comments will get deleted is where I'm partly responsible is if they get held and I do the foolish thing of going, except there's nothing wrong with it, and then YouTube goes, I don't think we can trust your judgment, boo.
Yeah, no, what YouTube are really saying there is, we wanted you to have the option to see this abusive comment that somebody has levied at you, but we don't want it on our platform.
Yeah. We wanted you to be able to see that someone called you a massive fat cunt. But now we think that's pretty steep. We think that's mean.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is not the one. I'll just keep this here. But the one that, and I remember his name, and his name was Andy Ad. Thank you, Andy Ad. And the reason I bring it up is because there was a really important moment, and at first I thought he was going to start being kind of arsey with me.
Right.
And it turned out it was a beautiful compliment. He said to me in his first comment, not verbatim, of course, he said, "It must be so lovely being a singer who lives with such an amazing transcriber." And I was like, oh.
I am an amazing transcriber, and you are a singer.
Yes.
He's accurate so far.
Yeah, so, and it was on Redefined.
Okay.
He commented on Redefined.
Which is one of Mel's recent singles. You should
Yes.
check it out. You know, I'm sure she can put the video on screen.
Do.
There's even a guitar solo in that one.
There is, by some fucking asshole.
Some transcriber.
But I went back to Andy and I was like, it really is, because if I ever get stuck for a music theory question or I want to know something, I don't need to bother traipsing through Google and everyone's opinion. I can just go to Levi, who I genuinely believe knows to a very high standard the answers to most of my music theory questions, if not all.
Most?
Well, you know, there's
I'm
some...
deeply offended by that.
No, there's sometimes I'll go and you'll go, I'm going to work that out, give me a minute.
Yeah.
You always give me the right answer in the end. Anyway.
Yeah.
And I went back to him and I said that. And he was like, again, not verbatim, he said, yeah, that must be really lovely, but it's more so that, like, you get to sing all these amazing songs. And I was like, how do you mean? And he's like, well, you know, it's like you get to sing things like Redefined that you wouldn't have written. And I was like, hold on a wee second there, Barbara.
Oh, I see. Was he sort of implying that
He was
the
implying
reason...
that I hadn't written any of it.
Right. Yeah, okay.
And I went back and I was like...
well, I'm doing a jump in for you on this before you...
And be nice, because Andy wasn't being
No,
a bitch.
no, of course. This isn't for Andy, but this is for anyone else. I'm a transcriber. I'm a music theorist. I'm an educator.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the same thing as being a creative. I'm not a creative. No. I don't write songs. I don't write music. I did, obviously, back in the day. But let's put it this way. It's not high on my list of passions. It's not the thing that excites me. Mm-hmm. So not only am I not writing Mel's music, no one is. Mel is doing it. Mel does everything. With Redefined in particular, that was the first time that you not only wrote everything, but you did all of the instrumentation, you did all of you recorded everything, you did all of the mixing and the mastering. Obviously I offered to help coming out here and recording like vocals and things like that, but she was like, no, I'll just go out to the studio and do it all myself. And she absolutely did everything herself, other than when everything was done, you said, can you put some guitar over the top of this, please?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Because it's a guitar-driven song.
Yeah, and I'm no qualms with telling people, like, there's definitely loads of huge spaces of lack of knowledge when it comes to things like music theory, and certainly I make jokes about it all the time, but I'm deadly serious. As a guitarist, I am a basher on my best day. I'd use it just as an accompanying instrument. So having someone like Levi is really... Anyway, I went back to Andy and I was like, I know you're not being a big dick. I know you're not. So I'm just letting you know that, like, just in case you were interested in the writing,
sure,
it was actually me that wrote that song. And Andy, bless him, came back...
Not just the lyrics. Because some people think that as well, don't they? And they're like, oh, so all right, you just...
You do the lyrics.
You wrote some poetry and then some talented people came along and played music behind you.
No, bitch. No, I went back to Andy and I was like, you know, it was me that wrote it. I know you're not trying to be like a dickhead about it, but just to let you know, because like if you're listening and you hear anything you like, thanks.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and he was really sweet, and he came back, and this is why I'm so annoyed that YouTube deleted it, because we had this lovely little conversation, and then YouTube was obviously like, someone said, and that's definitely a slur. And Andy came back and he's like, that's really interesting. He's like, because I listened to your Spotify and swear down dead that the person who wrote the album Devil's Luck definitely did not write some of the stuff that came after.
Ah, I see.
And I was like, that's so sweet. Unintentionally, very sweet.
Yeah, that's actually a really cool comment, because I see where he's coming from. Like, Devil's Luck sounds very, very different to Love Letters to the Master.
Yeah.
Is Love Letters up?
Love Letters is up.
Yeah. What got pulled? Oh yeah, it got pulled, but you put it back up.
Yeah,
I remember. It's totally different to Love Letters and totally different to the new stuff. And you know, there's other stuff that Mel writes that you guys haven't heard. Like, Mel is a comedian, and she's done 2 full, hour and a half comedy shows that were comedy and music, and you've not heard the songs for those. And I wish you had. I wish she would record
They're
them.
so fucking stupid.
They're so funny though. They are so legitimately funny.
My favourite one being Everyone's an Irishman at Christmas.
That could be a Christmas classic. Yeah.
I might record it this year for funsies.
I genuinely think that, sound off in the comments below. Would anybody be interested in hearing Mel's comedy songs? I'm of the opinion, and we're going on a tangent here talking about business. I've said this to Mel a million times. I don't think there's anything wrong with, doing comedy in music. If anything, I would argue that it might be an easy route into building an audience, because people listen to comedy things to laugh. It's an easy thing to achieve.
Yeah.
But what do people listen to music for? Serious music for?
For lots of reasons.
They check a thing out, but they don't really know what it is that they're going in for.
Sure.
So at the end of it, it's hard to finish a piece of music and go, that achieved the goal,
Yeah, I get that makes sense.
But
that
with
makes
comedy,
sense.
it's like, oh yeah, I laughed several times during that. That achieved the goal. That's a good comedy song.
Yeah.
So yeah, I seriously think Mel should record them. I prefer Have You Met Existential Fred? I like that.
Existential Fred is the name of the sentient cauliflower that is my brain.
Yes. So she's a very creative person. It's fascinating to watch her write, and we obviously couldn't be more different in that respect.
Couldn't literally fucking miles and miles and miles apart.
Because I think in terms of functional harmony, I hear functional harmony. I understand. I don't want to say the rules of music because it's not really the rules. It's like I've studied enough music to have a really deep understanding of expectations. Is probably the best way of putting it. So if I hear a chord progression, if I hear 3 chords, I can make a very educated guess as to what that 4th chord is going to be.
Sure.
Whereas Mel doesn't have that background, so she sits at the piano and just writes things. And she does things that I just wouldn't do. She does things that other people just wouldn't do. She does things that sometimes we have to sit down and work out what the hell we're going to call the chord. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes we look at a chord she's written and she's like, that's just the sound that I'm hearing there. And I'm like, that's a really difficult one to name. You can't make a traditional chord chart for that. You have to notate the chord exactly. It's fascinating. Sometimes she plays things that I'm like, nope, that's not the one for me. But she's like, well, that's definitely the one I want. But that's a creative. So
it was. Thank you, Andy. I really do appreciate that comment. Andy did say, and this is like I say, I'm so gutted that YouTube did. I'm gutted that YouTube did what YouTube fucking does.
Yeah.
But Andy did say in his comment about Devil's Luck and blah blah blah, and he did say that his favourite song was "I Am the Wind." And that's one of my favourites.
I like "I Am the Wind." Nice,
and it was very sweet. So thank you, Andy. Right. I really appreciate that.
That is a really great comment because it's clear that he has gone and listened to the music, which is awesome.
Meanwhile, YouTube's not deleting it when people are like, "See you fat whore. See when fucking David Draven's singing. You shut your fucking uneducated piece of shit mouth." And like,
all right, party mouth. All right, give us that. We're supposed to be moving quick.
Sorry, chop. Okay,
yeah,
I'm gonna paraphrase some of this because it is a big comment, but I think it's worth mentioning because I think we're both being accused of being intellectually dishonest.
I see.
And I can't have that.
Good luck.
It's by Greg. Now, Greg's commented plenty of times on my comments. I don't know if Greg's even a subscriber, but he's commented before. Not that we've read it out. Greg says, "Come on now, you can't have an intellectually honest discussion about Metallica without actually playing their best songs. I get that it's a live staple, but Seek and Destroy is possibly the worst song on the first record. It just happens to have a call and response format that works well live. You keep saying that you intended to play X tune, but aren't going to because they're too long, ? You typically spend 30 minutes ranting about your local music scene, but can't spend a couple of minutes listening to the actual music you're supposed to be discussing? ? Four Horsemen is the best song on the first record. He goes on to list some songs he thinks are the best, including...
I agree with him. I think Four Horsemen is a better song than Seek and Destroy.
Sure.
Yeah.
He mentions Master of Puppets.
Great song, yep.
Yeah, blah, 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 blah. And then he goes on to say, you spent so much time on the band's worst period, but played one song combined from Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets, and you didn't even play the full song. You didn't play anything from the first Garage days.
Just out of interest, how does he know that we didn't play the full song? We don't play the music on the podcast.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, carry on.
because it's not, you'd have to be on Patreon. Maybe he's on Patreon. I should be clear, being on Patreon does not mean that we won't go, let's have a conversation about why you think we're dickheads. Any of that, Frog and Owl and everyone else will tell you, I'm always like, how did we get here? By not playing the music that Metallica is revered for, you are curating the experience in a dishonest way. Levi is allowed to not like Metallica, but this really felt like he had an agenda and executed it.
That's really interesting. He makes some fair points. He absolutely does make some fair points. I would say this, right? I don't think, if you watched that podcast and came away from that thinking that I don't like Metallica, I don't think you were listening closely enough. Because while I don't love Kill 'Em All, I really do love Ride the Lightning. I really do love Master of Puppets. Yeah. And I really do love And Justice for All. And I spent a lot of time listening to the Black Album. Yeah. So, like, yes, the outcome of the podcast was very negative Metallica. I was very surprised by that. I didn't expect Mel to burst out laughing at James's voice as much as she did. So, yeah, that wasn't the intention behind that. What I will say, sorry to just keep monologuing.
You're fine.
I agree with you. I do agree with you. I think that The Four Horsemen is a better song from the first album. To be honest, if you actually go on Spotify and look at what I'm doing when I curate a little playlist for these things, almost always I'm just going with the song that has the most plays on the album. And that, to me, is not evidence of the best song per se, but it is evidence of what the most popular song is. And bands become popular based on the things that they do that are popular. Yeah. So I do feel, I feel that Seek and Destroy is representative of early Metallica. Like I say, I think The Four Horsemen is better, and I'm happy to. I would be happy to play it now, so Mel could listen to the whole thing. But here's the thing that I think is really, really key. I didn't go into that with an agenda because I did play a lot of songs that I really liked on there. I would have, like I did say, I would have rather played Master of Puppets, the song Master of Puppets. But I would have rather played most of the other songs on Master of Puppets. I picked Battery, for example, because I like the thrash, the gallopy rhythm. But it's certainly not my favourite song on the album. But I still do think it's a good song. I promise you there wasn't an agenda on my part. I was very surprised that Mel disliked Metallica as much as she disliked Metallica. It's certainly not my intention to put across an agenda, because if I wanted to put across an agenda of like not liking Metallica, guess what? We just won't do an episode on Metallica. It's much more... I certainly enjoy sitting for 2 hours and talking about things that I love more than things that I'm not crazy about.
Absolutely. I only took umbrage with 2 points in Greg's comment. And again, I think Greg made some good points. If you're a fan of the band, you might well have watched that and went, oh man, like, it would be the exact same if I were watching two people listen to Tom Waits and they'd went for the popular top 5 on Tom Waits Spotify, which also happen, in my opinion, to be not really strong songs of Tom Waits. In fact, I believe the top one on Tom Waits is, in my opinion, one of his weakest songs. But at the same time, the first one, and I was like, oh no, I take umbrage with that, which is the ranting about the music scene for 30 minutes. Here's the thing. You're absolutely correct. And I'm not going to apologise if that's something that people don't enjoy, because, you know, you can do something on YouTube that you can't do in real life, which is you can skip to the bits that you want to listen to, which is good fun. But also, I view the state of the music industry as a whole, not just in Scotland, as something that is quite akin to the economic crisis that we currently find ourselves around the world. If you don't have something to rant about in this fucking state of affairs, what the fuck are you doing? You know, and we're musicians. If you're a musician and you have nothing to say about the status quo of the music industry, you're probably part of the problem. That was the only thing that I was like, oh, come on, Greg. But also, equally, I really like some of the early Metallica, sorry. I thought it was quite sort of like edgy and punky and cool. The later stuff, though, Levi...
I don't like the later stuff either.
Sure. But Levi could have played me the entire back catalogue and I still would have had the exact same opinions that I had, because I don't like James Hetfield's attack on a lot of things, because it sounds like he's mocking the vocals.
I'll add something else to Greg if he's listening. I think that being a fan of a band colours how you're going to hear other people's... And we've talked about this on the podcast. I think it's very healthy to be able to hear somebody say, I don't like a thing if
Yeah.
you love that thing. And Greg feels clear to me that Greg is a fan of Metallica. Absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, yeah, it's not a dick. Don't take it so hard. Like we're just here to have fun and laugh. And in a perfect world, Greg, I would love to do a podcast. Like, as you know, we don't even play the music on YouTube because it's copyright nightmare, right? I would love to be able to do the thing that lots of YouTubers do, which is just play people's music on YouTube and, have all the videos copyright claimed. I'd love to sit and listen to all of Ride the Lightning with Melisa. I'd love to sit and listen to all of Master of Puppets with Melisa.
Like Rick Beatle.
Like Rick Beato.
Beatle.
Yeah. I'd love to do that. I genuinely would love to do that. But A, it's very time consuming and no one consumes it. And B, it ends up getting copyright claimed, which is just ends up feeling like ultimately a huge waste of time. But there's one other thing. Like, Melissa's my partner. I've been with Melisa for a long time. And I'm not going to say I know how she thinks. I'm not like in her head. But
Nobody does, Barbara.
But if we're listening to a thing, right, and it becomes apparent after 2 tracks that she doesn't like this, first of all, it's not my job to convince her otherwise. But second of all, I know if she could be convinced otherwise. And I was honestly very surprised that she didn't enjoy Metallica more than she did. But yeah, I just don't think there was any convincing her of that. I think when we played And Justice for All, what did we play? Blackened from And Justice for All. When we played that with the bass mixed in there.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Yeah, you enjoyed
it was
that.
Great. There was plenty of Metallica I liked, but it's like any of these things that we're discovering on the podcast. I like Iron Maiden way more than I thought I did.
Sure.
Because I genuinely have done them quite a few times on the channel, and I'm like, yes, good, but meh.
Yeah, not for you.
But there was stuff on Iron Maiden I thought was great. It's just one of those things. Also on the comment of you, us being in a relationship for a while and you knowing how I think, just as you literally said that, I found a paint chip in my pocket.
Oh, is this you just about to...
when I dunted the car.
Tell people that you reversed my car into something.
It was an accident. It was an accident. That lamppost came out of nowhere.
And I wasn't even slightly mad.
I know you weren't.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we've been talking about. I assume there's no more, or is there more?
That's
okay.
it. I just wanted to highlight it because I feel like Greg was taking umbrage with us, but he was doing it in an articulate way of someone who genuinely cares enough to go and write all that stuff, and it's totally different. When someone's just like, oh, you're an arsehole, you're like, oh, get fucked. But when someone's taking the time and it's like...
No, I really do appreciate his input, and actually... I do have another thought on this, and I know, we rant about the music industry for 30 minutes at the start of the podcast. I can see we've been going
justifiably
23 minutes. This podcast actually, Greg, if you think of it from my perspective, is actually from the organisation and the music side of things, it's actually really difficult unless you're an expert on every single band. And I'm just not. Like, we're going to do Slayer today, and I'm actually not a big Slayer fan. I don't really enjoy Slayer's music, okay? So I'm having to go and look at albums that I actually haven't listened to,
Sure.
To curate the music. But Metallica aren't that.
Yeah.
Metallica are a band that I do know very well. Metallica are a band where I could pick up guitars in the studio and play you 10 Metallica songs on them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I've learned all of that stuff in my youth. I can play you a couple of Slayer riffs, but literally it's like I can play you Angel of Death and I can play Rain in Blood. And if I thought about it, I might be able to play South of Heaven. But that's really it. Like, so if anything, Metallica, I see where he's coming from. Like, it's not that I have an agenda. It's just that I have so much more experience with the music and I have an opinion on the music.
Sure.
We are going to be more open to a band like Slayer, who I haven't, put as much time into listening to. Though I have seen Slayer live. Though we'll get to that story. And it was actual Slayer rather than Metallica, who I didn't see with...
Oh, with the Slipknot drummer.
I didn't see him with Lars. So, okay, you want to talk about Slayer?
I suppose.
What do you know about Slayer?
I know that there's someone in the band called Tommy... I almost said Tommy Iommi.
Good old
It's
Tommy.
not even Tommy Iommi.
No, it's not.
It's Tony. Call back. No, I know there's someone in the band called Tommy Aia.
Tom Araya.
Tom Rea.
Yep.
Kerry King.
Yep.
I know that they are
Though Kerry is in love with himself so much that me and my friends prefer to refer to him as Kerry Queen.
Work queen. I know that they have a member of the band who passed away.
Yes.
And that was part of an inspiration behind the trilogy of songs that they did. Fuck, I can't remember the name of the song.
I think, am I right in saying you've done Slayer on the channel once?
No,
Twice.
Twice.
But they were both from that trilogy?
Yes.
So you've never listened to Slayer with Jeff Hanneman on guitar?
No, I don't think so.
Questionable choice.
I mean, this is another thing. You talk about you being like, I'm just looking at bands I don't necessarily listen to. At least you've got a grasp of metal to
Yeah.
There's times in this channel where I'm just groping in the dark, like, what will I do tomorrow? I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
They're thrash.
Yeah, so that was what I was gonna ask.
Yeah,
Like,
they are very sort of like. I mean, that was just thrash that I did. But yeah, I also know that Danny Trejo was in one of their music videos, and I was very excited by it.
that's true. All right, you want me to read some stuff about Slayer for you?
Absolutely.
So Slayer formed in 1981 by Jeff Hanneman, Dave Lombardo, Tom Araya and Kerry King in Huntington Park, California. Group started out playing covers of songs by bands such as Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest
Makes sense.
and Venom at parties and clubs in Southern California. So all bands that you've tackled,
Yep.
you know, you can literally picture what those bands sound like, which is growth. That's like the podcast has done its thing.
Absolutely. I don't know for what end.
Yeah.
I keep dropping jokes about making a metal band, and people are like, do it.
The band's early image relied heavily on satanic themes that featured pentagrams, makeup, spikes and inverted crosses. Rumours that the band were originally known as Dragon Slayer after the 1981 film of the same name were denied by King. As he later stated, we never were. It was a myth to this day. According to Lombardo, the original band name was to be Wings of Fire before they settled in with Slayer. According to him, he also designed the band's logo. For inspiration, Lombardo thought in a perspective of murder and how they would carve out the logo with a knife. And since he's left-handed, the logo is unintentionally slanted to the right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's psychotic, but
Yeah.
I understand.
In '83, Slayer were invited to open for the band Bitch at the Woodstock
What a great name.
at the Woodstock Club in Anaheim to perform 8 songs, 6 of which were covers. The band was spotted by Brian Slagle, a former music journalist who'd recently founded Metal Blade Records. Impressed with Slayer, he met with the band backstage and asked them to record an original song for his upcoming Metal Massacre 3 compilation album. The band agreed, and their song, Aggressive Perfecta, created an underground buzz upon its release in mid-'83, which led to the band getting a record contract with Metal Blade.
Mm-hmm.
So the first record is called Show No Mercy.
Mm-hmm.
So without any recording budget, the band had to self-finance its debut album, combining the savings of Araya with, who was employed as a respiratory therapist.
A respiratory therapist.
Yes. And money borrowed from King's father. The band entered the studio in November '83. The album was rushed into release, stocking shelves 3 weeks after tracks were completed. Show No Mercy, released in December '83 by Metal Blade Record, generated underground popularity for the band. They began a club tour of California to promote the album. Tour gave the band additional popularity, and sales of Show No Mercy eventually reached more than 20,000 in the US and another 20,000 worldwide. Want to check out our tune from...
Yes, I would say one thing before we go further.
Go for it.
Of the 2 tracks I've listened to of Slayer, I definitely think I like them more because of the music video.
Yes?
I've got a sneak suspicion that I might not like all of this.
Yes.
I've been thinking about it over the week, and I think
Dreading it.
well, a little bit. I'm definitely going to be really open-minded, because the reason being open-minded has given me such gifts as Meshuggah and shit like that.
True.
So I'm going to be very open-minded.
Yeah. I've got the album artwork up, so we can just look at that here.
That is glorious.
Yeah, very satanic. Very, the pentagram, the goat head. It's all...
In 1983, would this have caused...
Satanic panic,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And they end up getting caught up in that whole thing. So we're going to listen to the song Black Magic again for... I've already forgot his name, Greg?
Magic woman, who?
Greg?
Yes.
Yes. For Greg or anyone keeping score, I've listened to the Show No Mercy record once when I was about 14 years old, over 20 years ago. I don't remember it. I remember... tell a lie. I don't remember it other than remembering this isn't for me. So it's not like I can say, oh, this is my favourite track on this. I went with Black Magic because it's the most popular song on the album, which
Okay.
isn't endemic of it being the best song or the smartest song.
Sure.
But
Keeping an open mind.
Black Magic, so early Slayer. Punky.
That's snare.
Better than Lars Ulrich.
Hi. Solos don't need to be in the tune. Don't worry about it.
I'll stop there. I wanted to get through a guitar solo so you could get the vibe because, well, before I say anything, what do you think?
That guitar solo can get in the bin as far as I'm concerned. I really enjoyed that. That note that Tommy did was pretty high as balls. I didn't realise he was capable. No shade. I thought he was more of just a sort of screamer. But that was like a proper like, "Wah!"
He's much younger here, so
Sure.
probably
Okay, I see.
impacts things.
Oh yeah, I should be clear even from the recording, which is again not as bad as I thought it was going to be. You can hear that Tom's not a singer. He's a chancer, and I like a chancer. But yeah, I like some of the more sort of like spooky do riffs.
Where the heck is man?
Do it's also it's not just Where the Heck Is Mum, it's Prodigy. Breathe. Sorry.
There we go.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It has some vim and vigor, has some get up and go. But I say it again, guitar solos are always going to be a tricky one for me. I've got an unreasonable standard for guitar solos, and that can get in the bin.
So I found that really interesting, actually, listening to that.
Oh.
Because my first thoughts when they started playing is, why didn't I like this? This is really cool.
Yeah.
You know,
Snare sounds like shit, but
snare sounds like shit. I like I've always liked, gallopy, thrashy rhythms and things like that. I've always just been super, super drawn to that. So I'm listening to it musically and I'm like, I like this.
Yeah,
What
it's
is it
good.
I don't like about this? Or what is it I didn't like about this? And then Tom started singing and I went, It was that.
Yeah.
It was that. But then the other thing is both Jeff Hanneman and Kerry King have a unique sound, have their own sound when it comes to soloing. And that sound is dog shit. Now, I say that in, like, that's what they're going for.
Yeah.
You know, they're going for really just chaotic, you could even say nonsense, just chaotic nonsense. Now, that's not a good example of the chaotic nonsense. That feels a little bit more fully formed. But seriously, you listen to some of Kerry's solos and you're like, what are you doing, sir? But it's just his sound. That's what he does. And I get it. It's like in thrash music, that's a totally valid thing to do because you're just going for something really over the top. But the young Levi, what he wanted was something really precise. He wanted something really deliberate because I had already fallen in love with Megadeth at this point. So and you go back and so I'm listening to recordings with Chris Poland on guitar and I'm listening to recordings with Marty Friedman on guitar. You know, I never liked Dave Mustaine soloing in Megadeth because it had that Kerry King wild thing to it. I just liked the very deliberate, controlled guitar playing. So that's why Slayer wasn't for me. But yeah, musically, I didn't hate that.
Yeah, I think that the only thing that's going to cause me to dislike anything at all, regardless of genre, I almost said regardless of gender. Let's say regardless of gender as well.
Sure.
Is if the vocals get progressively worse. And when I say worse, I don't need to be listening to like crazy perfect intonation. I don't need to listen to Cynthia Erivo every day. Like, I enjoy a buckled, screamy, shouty voice. But Tom's got a weird way of singing.
Yeah.
I use that term loosely. So
it's punky.
Yeah.
And we remember, where does thrash come from?
From punk?
It's punk. It's punk. It's progressive. It's taken the new wave of British heavy metal, the double bass drumming and all that, the punk attitude, and amping everything up to, silly degrees.
Sure.
Add some Satanism in there.
You had me at Satanism. If you want to be a spooky bitch, I'm in.
Okay, so I'll keep reading. So in February 1984, King briefly joined Dave Mustaine's new band, Megadeth. Hanneman was worried about King's decision, stating in an interview, I guess we were going to get a new guitar player. When Mustaine wanted King to stay on a permanent basis, King left after 5 shows, stating that Mustaine's band was taking too much of my time. The split caused a rift between King and Mustaine, which evolved into a long-running feud between the two bands. Dave Mustaine just fights with everyone, doesn't he?
Well, it's also just like, I love when people talk about like, singers being drama and stuff like that. And I'm like, I mean, we've been doing metal, nothing but metal, and guitarists seem like a bunch of dramatic bitches.
Yep. In 1984, Slayer released a 3-track EP called Haunting the Chapel. I'm going to let you see the cover work for that.
Fantastic.
So, more of the same. The EP featured a darker, more thrash-orientated style than Show No Mercy and laid the groundwork for the future direction of the band. The opening track, Chemical Warfare, has become a live staple played at nearly every show since 1984.
Okay.
And guess what? We're listening to Chemical Warfare.
Of course.
It's the next track on the playlist. So this is Chemical Warfare.
Let's do it.
Shame there's no distortion on the bass.
Diminished from this hell, vanished from the dying. dying world, the lords of hell awake. Dogs of war are helpless prey to immortality. Gather the rumors, we watching fell, waging the mass genocide. Soldiers defeated in death from the spell. Bodies lie dormant, no life. Rising your souls from the land where they fell. Demons not ready to die. Nothing to see when the sleeping souls lie. Chemical warfare.
So high.
Thoughts?
It's so interesting because I mean that was okay. I didn't enjoy that one as much as I enjoyed the first one.
It's darker.
Yeah. Also, some points with the kick drum, I was like, "Are you out of time?" I don't like it. Because Tom has got this like he in that song he sang the note that one up there, and like he's doing it in a manner that suggests that he was capable of mixing. But unfortunately, because of the shouty vocals, they would have been doing untold amounts of damage on the So it's like you're definitely choosing a path there, whether you know it or not as a singer. And his vocals did sound better there.
For me, this reminds me what it is I don't like about Slayer. So Dave Lombardo, the drummer, he is an important name on the metal scene. Very influential. I'm really, really into groove.
Sure.
Know? And I'm not saying he doesn't have groove, it's just a different type of groove. So he's not playing blast beats there, which is like a death metal drumming technique.
Yeah.
But you could think of blast beats, or if you were to describe blast beats in its most simple form, you could say it is it's like a punching sound with the kick drum and the snare drum. That's done as fast as possible.
Sure.
Right? It should sound like machine gun fire. Mm-hmm. And of course, the snare drum is the most aggressive sounding drum in the drum kit. Mm-hmm. And we put it on beats 2 and 4 because it helps to give us that sense of backbeat, right? But when you listen to this, it's that double time punk style drumming where your snare drum is ka, 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 and it's just constantly, it creates a sense of like rapid motion. But for me, it gives me immediate fatigue. Where I'm like, this is fucking intense. Can I have a break, please? Because I just want the groove type thing. And the Slayer tunes that I do quite like, I like them because they tend to have fast thrashy bits with really over the top drumming like that. But then they'll drop into a groovy section, and I'm like, I like the groove more so than the.
Yeah, I mean, this is
another dog shit guitar solo, by the way.
It goes without saying at this stage. I think that's part of the reason that I think a lot of people get put off of metal, because I feel like I can see it from both sides of the fence now. And one thing that always put me off of metal when I was younger was that I cared so deeply about things like melody, and I cared really deeply about really top tier vocals, and screaming just didn't come into that. And I think as well, the rhythm of it is tiring. It is tiring enough to listen for me. And then I realise there's people watching who'll go,
I love it.
Oh no, I love it. This'll be. I put this on. I'm sure Martin said shit like that to me before, just like, oh yeah, I put this horrifying band. This horrifying band is what I listen to when I'm doing my dishes, and I'm like, how?
Yeah.
How? But no, that was okay. Not as good as the first one. And Tom's vocal sounded better in that one than it did in the first one.
So in March, March '85, they went on a national tour with Venom and Exodus. So obviously, you know Venom. You've not heard Exodus yet.
Nope.
For me, I think of Exodus, as being, for me, they're like in my big four of the thrash bands,
Right.
rather than Anthrax.
A couple of people did say when we had the big conversation about the top four, that what's not the top four,
Big four.
the big four, the top dogs, which I knew last week in your face. People were substituting out Anthrax a lot.
I would substitute out Anthrax and put Exodus in, and at a push, I might substitute Slayer out. For me, substitute Slayer out and put Testament in.
Are we doing Anthrax next week?
We can do.
Can we do hair metal next week?
No. We've got to do the big four.
Boo!
We'll get to hair metal. You're not in a rush.
We'll do hair metal because I know it's just going to be so camp as fuck and I'm ready for it.
Okay, so Show No Mercy had sold over 40,000 copies, which led to the band returning to the studio to record their second full-length album. So this album came out and it was called Hell Awaits. So there's the cover for Hell Awaits. I'll bring it up for you so you can see it. You might want to put it on screen for people.
It's pretty.
They were definitely getting a reputation for being the Satan band, you know?
Satanic
there was a lot
Panic.
of protest around them from parenting groups, of course, which is, good for marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it expanded on the darkness of haunting the chapel, with hell and Satan as common song subjects.
The Hill Satans.
I
Sorry.
think it's worth pointing out, though, like Tom Araya has come out and said that he's a devout Catholic, and he would never have been involved in something that was truly satanic,
Like Zakk Wylde.
like Zakk Wylde. But I don't think Zach's ever done anything satanic like that.
Yeah, that's the. Well, you do what you do. It's an expression of heart. Like,
It's all just business, right?
better get your story straight for Jesus, but.
Yeah. The album was the band's most progressive offering, featuring longer and more complex song structures. The intro to the title track, which is the one we're going to be listening to, Hell Awaits, is a backwards recording of a demonic-sounding voice repeating "Join Us," ending with "Welcome Back" before the track begins. The album was a hit, with fans choosing Slayer for Best Band and Live Band, Hell Awaits as 1985's Best Album, and Lombardo as the Best Drummer in Metal Force's 1985 Readers' Poll. So, want to check out the tune Hell Awaits?
Yes, I love people telling me nonsense conspiracies about songs like this, being like, if you play like We All Live in a Yellow Submarine backwards, it gives you, herpes.
The interesting thing about We All Live in a Yellow Submarine,
Yeah.
if you listen to it carefully, you'll notice that it lines up perfectly with my last bowel movement. Hell Awaits.
Definitely aliens.
And Kerry just made a noise in the background.
Yeah.
Theatrical.
Yeah.
Like, there's groove. I'm here for this.
Just a small town girl
Still groove. How are the drums going to come in? What do you think the drums are going to do? To me, that's the sound of Slayer.
Existing on the mission and the priest I never know. Doing such a violent show of power on the throne. Angels fighting in the streets, still die by the soul. Angels killing on sight to get the one called Lord. The gates of hell I witness and see. There's no further faith for me. I can see your lost soul from the grave. Jesus on his soul cannot be saved. Crucify your soul, call on it, soon you'll follow me. This soul down to God fell a slave for me eternally. The remake of the dark gates, the same comes home.
Stop there. What do you think?
I like the so fucking. Here's you talk about how metal's driven by testosterone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I listen to this, I'm like, Slay Queen, because that's camp as shit what you've just done. Yeah, the big sort of boomy voices of like, whoa, 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 whoa.
But they're just, I would imagine, for business reasons, steering into controversy there, right? They're just...
Oh, that's something I was going to say.
Which is also a testosterone thing.
Yeah, being a Catholic and making music like this, knowing it will cause outrage, it's a business move as much as it is anything else. And, I'm not saying I support it. It depends on what you're talking about, how far you're prepared to move away from your own moral code in order to make it, whatever the fuck that means. But yeah, I like the theatrics of it. I like the little whispery bits. I think that's cool. I do like the slowing down and having that sort of like you say, sort of groove before it kicks into the high fast parts.
And for those that aren't watching on Patreon, we were talking whilst that was happening. We were like, oh, it grooves. But then when the fast thrashy guitar came in, I turned to Mel and was like, what do you think the drums are about to do? And you can just feel it coming, and it's just that snare.
I do think that whole song, though, was the antichrist of a click track. Do you know what I mean? Because when it came into the first slow part, it was like, oh, come on, guy. You can get back there. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay, you want to keep going?
Yes.
So, we were watching WrestleMania last night.
Do.
And remember, you saw Gandalf in the audience? Who was that?
It was Rick Rubin.
Rick Rubin, yeah. Okay. So, following the success of Hell Awaits, Slayer was offered a recording contract with Russell Simmons and Rick Rubin's newly founded Def Jam Records.
Oops.
So
Gandalf.
Mel didn't know how influential Rick Rubin was, and I think that Rick Rubin is probably one of the most important record producers of all time.
Oh, no. Okay, I should be clear. I know who Rick Rubin is.
Okay. Do you know how extensive the list of people he's worked with is, though?
Probably not.
Yeah. So I'm just going to, just for this, so... he helped popularise hip-hop by producing records for pioneering acts such as LL Cool J,
Yep.
Beastie Boys, Run DMC, Public Enemy, Ghetto Boys.
I did know that.
Yep, he produced hit records for acts from a vast variety of genres, such as pop. He worked with Kesha, Adele, Ed Sheeran and Lady Gaga.
I did not know that.
Heavy metal, Danzig, Metallica and Slayer.
I think I did know that.
Alternative rock, The Cult, Red Hot Chili Peppers, B Babadoo B.
I don't know who B Baba Doobie is, but I do know, yes.
Rage Against the Machine, Strokes, Weezer. Hard rock bands, Audio Slave, AC/DC and Aerosmith. Nu metal, Linkin Park, System of a Down and Slipknot.
I did know that.
Country music, Johnny Cash, the Abbott Brothers and the Chicks. Or
didn't know that.
The Dixie Chicks.
I didn't know that.
That's a ridiculous level of versatility in the industry. Rick Rubin, just a legend of the scene. And not just, produced those things, but was instrumental in the crafting of the sound of those things.
Sure.
Which is, to me, super cool.
It's also just super cool that, he co-founded Def Jam Records, and Def Jam Records created some of the most amazing hip-hop acts, and at a time where I am, in my personal opinion, having seen some documentaries and had an education, that, he's producing very not safe for work style of hip-hop at a time where certainly the Western world, and mostly America, We're still not down with like listening to a lot of black artists the same as commercially listening to black artists. So the fact that he's helped make things like Public Enemy, it's fucking coolish. That's punk as shit.
But yeah, not only to be doing that, but then to go, well, why don't I work with this band Slayer? You putting out all the Def Jam record stuff, and then you listen to Hell Awaits, and you go, I think I want to do their next album. To me, that's a creative right there. That's a.
But I know him as a younger looking person, so when I saw him on WrestleMania, he did look like Gandalf. His beard was longer. He looked very. The only thing I've seen him in of recent years, I'm sure he was in a little rockumentary thing I watched, and he was talking to Jonathan Davis.
Okay.
I'm sure that's the only thing I've seen him in recently.
Okay, so yeah, this is where their career blows up, because of course you work with Rick Rubin and things are going to blow up. Band accepted the record deal, and with an experienced producer and major label recording budget, the band underwent a sonic makeover for their third album, Rain in Blood, resulting in shorter, faster songs with clearer production. Complex arrangements and long songs featured on Hell Awaits were ditched in favour of stripped-down, hardcore punk-influenced song structures. Def Jam, so this is where they probably go too far with controversy, accidentally.
Oh, whoopsie doodle.
Def Jam distributor Columbia Records refused to release the album due to the song Angel of Death, which detailed Holocaust concentration camps and the human experiments conducted by Nazi physician Joseph Mengele.
Sorry, just to be clear, it's detailing all of these things. It's not like talking about them in a political way.
We're gonna play it.
Okay, but lyrically speaking.
Yeah, we're going to look at the lyrics. Well,
okay.
Yeah. Jeff Hanneman definitely had an interest in Nazi memorabilia. They certainly had controversy around them for use of things like their eagle logo is like Nazi-ish, and he certainly had a collection of Nazi memorabilia. Yeah.
Come on, guys.
But I don't want to say it was a different time, because obviously I wasn't there. I'm glad that we're smarter about things like this now than we were back then, because I don't really quite know how to put this. Like, so when I was younger, when I thought of the Nazi flag, to me that was just something that you associated with villains. They're the bad guys. They were part of a war, and they were the bad guys in the war. But unfortunately, to a young person who doesn't fully understand like the atrocities that go on during any war, but that war in particular, you don't see it beyond the bad guys. And if you live in a culture where there's lots of things where there are bad guys, films have bad guys, just stories in general. Computer games have bad guys. Wrestling has bad guys, and you can find yourself in this weird position where it's like, well, actually, like Disney films. Like, I root for a lot of the bad guys in Disney films. There's something cool about the bad guys. And so it puts you in this weird place where, without the full education of atrocities and what human suffering is, you can just associate like Nazi imagery with, oh, those were the bad guys. Bad guys, I like bad guys. Bad guys are cool. It's like and that's obviously really, really, really wrong. But I think that with stuff like this, it probably helps to contribute to that idea of like, I don't want to say a glamorization of the things that the Nazis did, but a glamorization of being counterculture. We are villains. That you actually saw that a lot in the early punk movement. You'd have punks wearing Nazi stuff, not necessarily because they were Nazis, but because they wanted to be so anti-establishment. Because they were so. It's not like which is, you'll have to mute that because I'm sure that'll get the video ripped from you.
We'll 100% be muting that.
Not because that's what they were saying, but because it was just such a visceral image of villainy. You know what I mean? I think I do. I think
for sure, certainly when I was young, you and I have had a very different upbringings.
Yes.
And I don't think, that extends, and forgetting, the intricacies of growing up, but as far as like art is concerned and music and video games and stuff like that, I think you were probably exposed to more of that villains are cool.
And being a guy, because villains are often the in a lot of stories, the villain is the person that tries to enact their power over other people, and young men are taught that to be a man means to be powerful.
Sure.
So you can find almost like role model elements from villain behavior if you've got a bad view of what it means to be a good man.
Sure.
If that makes any sense.
Kind
it's like
of.
a crazy thing to say out loud, but if you think of like Mulan, right?
Yeah.
I love Mulan. It's like my favourite Disney film. But when I think of the villain in that film, like he's that big towering,
Yeah, he's a spooky guy.
the Mongol guy, and it's like there's something really cool about that.
Yeah, but of course, and that's like, it's the glamorization side of it. It's a Disney film,
Yeah.
so of course they've made him
Yes.
look, and they've given him this big booming authoritative voice. Yeah, I guess, you know, I certainly, when I grew up, stuff like Nazis and things, I watched several documentaries about it. Different experience because, of course, coming from traveller heritage,
Sure.
one of the first things I learned about the Nazis is that they gypsies were like on the hit list of people who, and we'll have to mute that as well probably.
Play it safe.
I do find stuff to do with the Nazis interesting in the sense that like how they functioned, how they got there, because of course if you forget your history you're doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
And I do find some of these documentaries around, you know, some of the things that they try to instill or try to create and blah blah blah, especially around things like experiments and things, because it's not because it's fascinating, because you want to learn about it and go, well, why did these people, how did you get here,
Right,
how did you get here from wide-eyed
We're veering
person?
way too far off topic.
Oh, okay. Well, can I just finish my
Yeah, go
finish
for
my
it.
thought? Yeah, getting like, how did you get here from this wide-eyed person to now this person? But I also think when I see, you know, bands being like, oh, I just enjoy the memorabilia, I'm like, but fun things exist, comics
Yeah.
exist. Why would it be this thing?
Yeah, of course.
You know?
Because I want to be the villain. I want to look like the villain and not having a true understanding of. Maybe some people can still be like, oh, I want to collect this stuff after literally like seeing video of people suffer. Maybe they can, but then people like that, I guess, are
History's
monsters.
fascinating. History is fascinating, but fuck me, like collect stones.
So I went with Angel of Death from this record because of the lyrics, because I wanted to look at it from a lyrical perspective, because of course you're a songwriter. I would have preferred to play the song Raining Blood. Interestingly, the album is called Rain in Blood, as in a rain.
R-E,
Yeah.
like Roman Reigns.
like Roman Reigns, yeah. But the song is Raining Blood, as in blood coming down from the sky. I don't know. I said interestingly. I don't think that's actually interesting, but little just.
We say interestingly a lot on here,
We
when
do,
actually what we mean is boringly.
Yeah, boringly. Okay, so here's Angel of Death. You ready?
Ready.
See that?
Fucking hell.
See it?
Yeah. The first word out of their fucking mouth.
I will stay off it now until he's actually singing. He's got a good scream at the start of it. So.
High as balls.
I always thought that was guitar at first until he drops into the voice. But the thrash rhythm. I can play this.
Sure.
I'm swift, the meaning of pain, the way that I want you to die. Slow down, immense decay, showers that cleanse you of your life. Forced in, like cattle you run, stripped out, your life work, human minds for the angel of death, 400,000 more to die. Angel of death, mark to the kingdom of the dead. Sadistic, surgeon of demise, sadist of the noblest blood. Destroying without mercy to benefit the Aryan race. Surgery with no anesthesia, feel the knife pierce you intensely. Inferior, no use to mankind, stripped out screaming out to die.
Great drumming
Angel
there,
of
though.
death,
Sure.
monarch to the kingdom of the dead.
But they're about to go into a groove now, which is cool. This is what I want more of, right? And Slayer have these trademark harmonies between the guitars. It's like, and then with some groove.
Pump fluid inside your brain, pressuring your skull begins pushing through your eyes. Burning flesh drips away. Test of heat burns your skin, your mind starts to boil. Freezing cold, crash your limbs. How long can you last in this frozen water burial? So together, Joni heads. Just a matter of time till you rip yourself apart. Millions lay out in their chronic tombs. 16 ways to achieve the Holocaust.
And now you're about to get the most Slayer of guitar solos.
No.
But you get the idea.
Ooh, child.
Oh Lord, they be cooking.
Yeah, I did not enjoy that one.
Okay, tell me more.
Okay. I think because for me there wasn't much harmonically I could hang on to, and in my opinion, and it is just my opinion, Tom's phrasing on that was dog shit. Dog shit. He was cramming words in where they shouldn't be. Big long phrases, like holding out free for.
It's
a
much
long
better
time.
when it jumps to the groove part. I think the lyrics
Yes.
fit better in the groove.
Yes, and that guitar solo at the end can get directly in the bin. I kind of look at songs like that as a sort of like I can't decide what category it falls into. I.e., is it the putting a very glamorous TV show together called Dalmar, where you cast a heartthrob in his role and you focus in on him and glamorize him and make him out to be some kind of sexy guy, which is fucking atrocious, abhorrent, I hate it. Or is it shining light on things that were really abhorrent that we should think about more often? Again, if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. Lyrically speaking, there was some really interesting stuff in there, horrific but interesting, but the phrasing was just no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and it's just super, super intense. I remember learning that song on the guitar, and during the time I was learning it, I obviously learned lyrics and things like that. And there's one line in there, a bassonate.
A bassonate?
Yeah, any ideas?
No.
No. It came up in class. We were talking. Me and a friend were talking in woodwork class, not about the song, but the meaning of the word. And my woodwork teacher, Mr. Hitchens, said, I'll look into it, see if I can find out what that word means. And then in our next lesson, he came back and told me that
What a lovely teacher.
yeah, it's the burning out of someone's eyes with red hot discs. Yeah, and and he said, and it's a word that features in the Slayer song "Angel of Death." And I'm like, that's why.
It's also a side of it, and I again, it's only just my opinion, so who the fuck cares? I just think as well with stuff like that, sensitive things to do with that particular content, and then other metal bands where I hear when they're talking about everything from war to abortion, and they're using it in a really detailed, violent way in their speech. I just kind of go, I just feel it's chewy. Because I'm like, you've lived up till this point a life that has been peppered with all kinds of things that have happened to you. Sometimes it's privileged, sometimes it's not. And I just think to glamorize or to sort of like exploit the violence of others as a way of making you edgy feels chewy. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you can, when you do the Satanism thing, there's no real victim to that. Well, there's no punchline to the joke. There's no, well, I was going to say it doesn't make anyone feel bad. It makes Catholics feel bad, you know, but not because they're actually being hurt, but because they're shocked by it. But, yeah, to use things like that as a source of material for shock factor, there are groups of people that feel bad. And there are groups of people that are going to say, I don't want to listen to this because it makes me feel bad. Now, but those people can be your audience. So you could be alienating actual fans with that. Whereas with the Satanism thing, they already weren't listening to you.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I think the problem as well. And art is not responsible for your actions. I want to say that wholeheartedly. Listening to violent music doesn't make you a violent person, especially because some of the sweetest people I know on my channel listen to the most terrible fucking horrifying music. I think sometimes the problem with the lyricism in that is that stupid people or people who are mentally, in requiring of help might listen to stuff like that and not understand, or at least, I don't know why it sticks out in my memory, but I just remember having a conversation in public and overhearing a group of guys who had spoken about the fact there was a traveller community that moved in close to me, because where I lived at the time it was all traveller communities. They were going to they were going to find something to try and make a flamethrower. They were going to go down, and someone mentioned that there were kids and women there, and they were like, And that dehumanising language should never become part of our common lexicon, because that's fucking terrifying.
So I will say, I don't think stuff like that, you can't prosecute bands like Slayer for,
no, you cannot. That's stupid.
and say that you have caused actions. But at the same time, it absolutely will help to bring out people
the
like
worst
that.
people,
Because it completely desensitizes you to the notion of violence.
Yeah.
Like, I consumed this music, and I was consuming a lot of violent horror films as well. I'm completely desensitized to violence.
That's terrible.
It doesn't. There's no violence shocks me, and that doesn't therefore mean that because I'm desensitized to violence that I can therefore go out and be violent to people.
Yeah, because
But it doesn't shock or upset me in the way that it probably should as a human.
Same as
upsets, but doesn't shock. Yeah.
But like,
Because we've got friends that the notion of like rape in a film,
mm-hmm.
like she runs out of the room crying despite having not been raped, but it's just the concept is so visceral to her that it upsets her.
Sexual violence is a slightly more nuanced thing. Yeah. It's a lot of things, but yeah, I mean, you're not you're the least violent person ever. You're like so like. Mostly because you're like, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But you get completely...
Yeah. Okay, so in late 87, Slayer returned to the studio to record their fourth studio album. To contrast the speed of Rain in Blood, the band consciously decided to slow down the tempos and incorporate more melodic singing. More melodic, not melodic. According to Hanneman, we knew we couldn't top Rain in Blood, so we had to slow down. We knew whatever we did was going to be compared to that album, and I remember we actually discussed slowing down. It was weird. We've never done that on an album before or since. Released in 88, South of Heaven received mixed responses from both fans and critics, although it was Slayer's most commercially successful release at the time, debuting at number 57 on the Billboard 200, second album to receive gold certification in the United States. Press response to the album was mixed, with AllMusic citing the album as disturbing and powerful. Kim Neely of Rolling Stone calling it genuinely offensive satanic drivel. Yeah. King said, that album was my most lackluster performance, and Araya called it a late bloomer, which eventually grew on people. Touring for South of Heaven took place between 88 and 89, with which included opening for Judas Priest on the Ram It Down tour and headlining a North American tour with Motorhead and Overkill. So
nice.
Out doing the things. We're going to listen to the title track, South of Heaven. It has a really cool riff in it.
Let's do it.
Again, very Slayer riff. When like the harmonisation of that melody.
I can hear it in the background.
You'll get more of it. What a lyric.
An unforeseen future nestled somewhere in time. Unsuspecting victims, no warnings, no signs. Judgment Day, the second coming arrives. Before you see the light, you must die.
The harmonisation there.
Yeah. Sounds like Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
slowing down though. Slowing down.
Bastard sons begat your cunting daughters, promiscuous mothers with your incestuous fathers. Ingrate souls condemned for all eternity, obtained by more observance, a dom of Mary deity. Chaos rampant in an age of distrust, confrontation, simple silver. Only us out of heaven. Only us out of heaven. Only us out of heaven.
And we're speeding up.
Only us out of heaven.
It's just making noise, isn't it? The guitar
Yeah.
solos, like that's the style. That's what they go for. His vocals are recorded much better there,
Yes.
but his phrasing is awful.
It's just bad. I'm sorry, it's bad.
It's like he wrote the lyrics and then was like, "All right, we'll just
Jam them in any
we'll
old
just
fucking way.
slot them in," because he throws out his own rhythm literally on like the on arrives. Like I think when you listen to the third line. If you listen to that, there's a very obvious way it should have been phrased, and he doesn't.
Yeah. But phrasing is one of those things that as when you are a singer, as Tom is not, and again, there's plenty of people who I consider not singer who are still fantastic. I don't consider Ozzy a singer, but he's fantastic at points in his career. It's great. Phrasing's just one of those things that you either get it or you don't. I think sometimes your phrasing can also be something that you're really good at if you're not a singer, but you are a songwriter. You really care about songwriting. But Tom, bless him, his phrasing, he's not got it. He's not got it.
What about musically?
I really like the cool the riff with the harmonised, because I love a harmonised guitar. That kind of really crunchy harmony that's over it.
That's what Slayer do.
The guitar solo just sounds like some guys walked in whilst they've been recording the song and went, "Fuck it, I'll do it." Is he in the toilet? The guitarist? I'll just do it quickly. Garbage. But yeah, I enjoyed the slowness of that.
So they returned to the studio in early 1990 with co-producer Andy Wallace to record their fifth studio album. Following the backlash created by South of Heaven, South of Heaven, Slayer returned to the pounding speed of Rain in Blood while retaining their newfound melodic sense. Seasons in the Abyss, released on October 9th, 1990, first Slayer album to be released under Rubin's new Def American label, as he had parted ways with Def Jam owner Russell Simmons over creative differences. The album did well. The album spawned Slayer's first music video for the album's title track, which was filmed in front of the Giza pyramids in Egypt. In support of Seasons in the Abyss, the band participated in the Clash of the Titans tour that was co-headlined by Megadeth. The European leg featured Testament and Suicidal Tendencies, while the North American trek had Anthrax and then unknown Alice in Chains as their direct support act.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we don't need to read that. So I've picked War Ensemble from this album. You want to give War Ensemble a spin?
Let's do it.
What are you expecting?
War Ensemble, War Ensemble.
I mean,
War Ensemble.
I'm a wombo.
I don't know. I literally don't know. What I want is more of the slow sections to fast sections. I enjoy that.
Okay. Well, here's War Ensemble.
Propaganda
So you can maybe see why I wasn't into them now after hearing so many guitar solos. It's like I was the young shredder who wanted to sit with my metronome and practice my licks, but you couldn't listen to a Slayer solo and go, I'm going to practice that.
I mean, you could try, but what you're not aware of is that in the studio, that guitarist has actually been played a completely different song to solo to.
No, I don't think there's any song that would work on.
Yeah, I can totally see why young Levi would go, no, girl.
Yeah. I also, from a phrasing perspective, the vocal phrasing, you sang War. How did you think War Ensemble went?
War Ensemble. I can't remember what I said.
So he is putting the emphasis in the word ensemble in bull.
Yeah,
War Ensemble.
This is what I'm fucking talking about.
War Ensemble.
People think phrasing doesn't matter. And if it doesn't matter to you, that's totally fine. If you enjoy music where it is completely not there, again, that's completely fine. I don't want to yuck anyone's yum, but for me, I'm like, no, Barbara. No, I need it to be correct, or at the very least consider it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to keep playing forward. And so the last track that we're going to listen to, obviously they go on beyond here, but you'll see why. So in May 92, Lombardo left the band due to conflicts with other members, as well as his desire to be off tour for the birth of his first child. Lombardo formed his own band, Grip Inc., with Voodoo Cult guitarist.
Terrible name.
Yeah, not important. Slayer recruited former Forbidden drummer Paul Bostaff. To be clear, Forbidden are a band. He wasn't forbidden from music.
Okay.
Former Forbidden drummer.
You must not work with Paul.
Yeah. Paul has no career. He's been forbidden from music. But we got the okay from Satan. He's allowed back to fill in on the drumming position. Slayer made a debut appearance with Bostaff in 92 at the Monsters of Rock Festival at Castle Donington. They went on to record an album called Divine Intervention. So Divine Intervention, the band's first album with Bostaff on drums. The album featured songs about Reinhard Heydrich, an architect of the Holocaust, Jeffrey Dahmer, an American serial killer and sex offender.
God.
Other themes included murder, the evils of church, and the lengths to which government went to wield power. Araya's interest in serial killers inspired much of the content and lyrics. So, thoughts?
Hey, listen, I think when it comes to art, nothing should be off the table for discussion. Nothing. If you want to make art about Jeffrey Dahmer or serial killers in general, you go forth, Hazel, and I support it. But I just think that people should be more mindful not to glamorise it, because I think the glamorisation of serial killers over the past sort of 5 years has been fucking gross. And then when I get in conversations, and I hate to say it, but when I get in conversations with other women and they're like, oh, don't you think the Night Stalker from LA, just, how he's been written into this American Horror Story episode, don't you think he's sexy as fuck? And I'm like, no, Gemma, no, because he was a serial killing piece of shit. Is glamorising it, and it gets glamorised to women, and it makes me want to punch up really hard into somebody's face.
Also, I just think it's sad to have artwork that features somebody having cut your band's name into their back.
Come on, people. Animal Crossing exists. You can have a little snack and a nap. You don't have to be doing this.
So looking at the Divine Intervention Wikipedia page under lyrics, it says the College Music Journal said that the band deals almost exclusively with realism in the album, noting that it shocks and splatters like a severed artery, painting crimson pictures of murders, necrophiliacs, and the ravaged, chaotic world they inhabit. Neil Strauss from the New York Times explained many of the album's origins. 213 was described as a love song by Araya, which was something that they had never done before. The song was named after the serial killer and sex offender Jeffrey Dahmer's old apartment number. Dittohead begins criticising the legal system for being too lenient on killers. Strauss said the song ended up not denouncing the system but advocating its permissiveness.
See, that's cool as shit.
Yeah.
That's cool as shit.
Yeah.
I should be clear. I cannot see that Slayer are directly glamorising stuff like this, but at the same time I'm like, it's a thin line. Yeah,
Sex Murder Art was said by the state to feature roars about a maddening relationship and his pleasure in inflicting pain. SS3 is about Nazi official Reinhard Heydrich. King said that the album contained origins relating to explorations of madness. The lyrics led to the album being banned in Germany in 1988.
Shocker.
Yeah. You don't have to do much to get banned in Germany, to be fair.
I like the Germans. They're very particular in my comment section. I enjoy the way that they phrase things.
I mean, after all this talk about Nazism, should you be there going, I like the Germans?
No, but that's just it. That's what I'm saying. I think they're very conscious of their history and they like.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So, to me, the interesting thing about it is like, it's politics versus shock factor.
Yeah.
It's like, I think at their core, they're men who have ideas about the world that they live in and they want to talk about those things. So, politics.
Mm-hmm.
But also wanting to steer into just doing some shock factor stuff. Because people are going to talk about us if we make songs about Jeffrey Dahmer. You know what I mean?
I know, and it's so depressing, and I do understand where it comes from. It comes from the lizard brain of audiences who don't want to be challenged on anything, where they really have to think, or at least there is a good section of them that do, but there's also a bigger section of them that just want to be like, yeah, man, I listen to fucking Slayer and I fucking trashed my house on Saturday because I got really drunk and I don't know how to deal with my feelings because I've never been to therapy. And it's like, it's so hard because, again, everyone that I've met through YouTube who now I consider to be a little friend that I have in Discord, I don't know why.
It's like a little friend.
Well, all of you are small to me because you're on my phone. Are all sweet, thoughtful people who would never hurt anyone. And it's such a weird juxtaposition.
Well, you should go and see Slayer live and see a Slayer mosh pit.
You've been to see Slayer.
I have been to see Slayer.
You didn't tell me your story.
I didn't, and I was just about to.
Ah.
So I didn't go to see Slayer.
Oh, okay.
There is a difference. I wouldn't have bought a ticket to go and see Slayer. But tying into what we talked about last week, Download 2003, Download Festival 2003.
Oh, girl. Sure.
What?
That feels like a messy place to be.
Yeah, messy place to be. Slayer were due to play on the main stage on the first day of the festival.
Okay.
On the Saturday, and they didn't turn up. They missed their slot. There was issues with flights and whatever, so they didn't manage to make it. And then on the Sunday, word started going around that the Slayer had turned up and they were going to be playing in the smaller tent.
Oh dear.
Now, where that came from, I don't know. But ultimately, it was just a rumour that Slayer were going to be playing there.
Sure.
But of course, all the metalheads decided that it was true. So they all rocked up to this tiny little tent, expecting Slayer to be on.
Mm-hmm.
And the band finished, and everyone was like, Slayer are coming up next. And then the next band started setting up, and it was the band called Taking Back Sunday.
Oh dear, I can already tell from your title of your band that you're going to get your arse eaten out.
Yes. And I can't remember if they actually came out and played or not.
They were behind the scenes crying.
Yes. No, they almost certainly didn't play because because the road crew who were setting up, all of their stuff got so bottled. Bottled. So aggressively bottled and screamed at whilst thousands of people chanted Slayer, Slayer, Slayer.
Slayer fans, what's your fucking problem, man?
Testosterone. The only fond memory I have of it is the irony of because it was a Sunday.
You didn't throw any bottles, did you,
No,
Levi
of course
Clay?
not. I wasn't even that interested in seeing Slayer.
Because I've just got through telling you about how you're a kind, thoughtful human being.
No, to me it was.
I'd beat your ass if that were the case.
It was the irony of because it was a Sunday. It was an irony of Taking Back Sunday actually, in fact, not taking back Sunday.
Oh dear!
They had their Sunday taken away from them. Slayer
That's
did.
such a shame because
Slayer did come out and play.
They were probably really prepared to. They did come out and play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think to potentially stop a riot.
Unacceptable.
Yeah.
Unacceptable.
Would you like to just hear Taking Back Sunday?
Sure.
I couldn't tell you a single one of their songs.
The only time I've ever been at a gig, because of course I'm a solo musician, so it doesn't happen. The only time I've ever been at a gig where stuff like that happened was me and the Crows were doing a support slot for a band that were doing sort of like vaudeville style, I don't know what you'd call it. Let's call it pirate music. And their audience were, with respect to that band, Trongate Rum Riots is what they were called. Great band. Their fans were drunks. They were drunks. In Scotland, shocker. But I just remember before we got on, they decided to do a set and they wanted to come back on later. And they did a small set and people were getting fucking wild. An ambulance turned up to take some girl away who'd OD'd and it was all very dramatic. And then at one point the lead singer of Trongate Rum Riots threw his mic stand into the crowd and just pissed everybody off. And people started throwing things and we were just standing at the side. Me just standing at the side like, fucking hell.
This is Taking Back Sunday with Make Damn Sure.
Poor Taking Back Sunday.
You've got this new head filled up with smoke, and I got my veins all tangled close to the jukebox bars you frequent, the safest place to hide. A long night spent with your most obvious weakness, you start shaking at the thought. You are everything I want, 'cause you are everything I'm not. And we lay together just now, too close.
Oh, poor Take Back the Sunday. Do you know the problem is Take Back Sunday?
Taking Back Sunday.
Taking Back Sunday. You just know that the hipsters of today, the millennial hipsters, the elder hipsters of today, who like to have tasty coffees and queue for bakeries, you know they were listening to Taking Back Sunday, and you know that they thought they were total songwriting geniuses.
I think the sad part of this is you have to picture this tent that was largely full of Taking Back Sunday fans that were very excited to see Taking Back
it's
Sunday.
so sad.
And then, like the invading Mongol Empire, Genghis Khan kicks down the door, and in
It's a
March,
bunch of metalheads.
1,000 Slayer fans chanting Slayer, 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 and throwing bottles.
Oh, that's so sad.
It's sad.
Also, I take the not to double back. Ever since the Trongate Rum Riots gig, I now take the status. I can't remember the word that I want to use. If you throw something at the stage, I'm going to throw it back.
That sounds like a challenge.
Oh, I've absolutely done it before, and I'll do it again.
Okay, so we're going to finish up by listening to Dittohead. And we're doing this. This is the political one. We're doing this. I'll bring up the lyrics for you as well. We're doing this mainly so you can hear
The difference.
the
of
potential indifference in sound with
Okay,
Paul Barstaff
sure.
on drums. Let me just bring up Dittohead. The cliche Slayer slow down.
Yeah.
I can't sit through another Slayer solo. I just can't do it. I've not got it in me to sit through a Slayer solo.
Yeah.
Super punk.
Yeah. I think there's, for me, Slayer swings between, oh, I'm really into this, and put this off immediately. There's lots about it that I think to recommend it. And Tom is one of those things, but there's also a lot about it where I take really, I really want to punch him in his face and go, what are you doing? But all in all, again, it's like happening with a lot of bands. The early stuff, I'm in for it. Black Magic and Chemical Warfare and Hell Awaits. There's a lot on there that I was like, this is cool as shit. But then as it went along, I'm just like,
Okay.
the guitar solos have never been for me. Not ever.
That breaks my heart. Not the Slayer ones. Like, they break my ass. But
Guitar solos in general.
I like a guitar solo.
Oh, no. I should be clear. I like a guitar solo, but none of that.
Okay.
No, can I get it? I don't like a guitar solo. I put up with a guitar solo until it's good.
So, how would you rate Slayer on like a 1 to 10 of all the metal things we've listened to?
Oh, we should have done that the whole way along. I would say Slayer rank, I would give out of 10 or something.
Sure.
Out of 10, I would give Slayer a 6.
6.
No, a 5.
Okay. So, are they better or worse than Metallica?
better.
Interesting.
Better.
Okay.
Because as much as Metallica had some cool stuff, I can forgive a lot of things. But as Slayer gone along, they've just become more of themselves. And
Okay,
unfortunately,
yeah, that's fair.
I don't enjoy watching Metallica wear silk shirts and puka shell necklaces as they try and fit in with the grunge Seattle kids.
Yeah.
No.
Just paint a little bit more of a picture for you. So they did an album, Undisputed Attitude, Diabolos in Musica, and they did God Hates Us All.
He really does.
Yeah, Christ Illusion, World Painted Blood, and then Jeff Hanneman died.
There's a lot of that in
Alcohol-related
metal.
cirrhosis. Yeah.
Actually, bullshit. There's a lot of that in music in general. Musicians are so... Oh, that's my birthday. Musicians are just wired to be addicts.
Yeah, self-destructing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there we go. So I'm not particularly wild on Slayer.
What would you... Do you like
it's the
them more than...
drums. It's that...
It's very exhausting.
I'd take Metallica over Slayer any day of the week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I should be clear. I don't want to sit and listen to Metallica or Slayer
Sure.
for long periods of time. But if I was given an option, I'd be like, let's put on some Slayer.
I'd put on early Metallica. You know, I'd fire on And Justice for All with bass. So that's all we have for you this week. We've looked at Slayer. I'll let you pick. Okay, next week, we either come back and we listen to Anthrax or we listen to Megadeth. Now, it's not that big a choice because whichever one you don't pick, we
have to do the week after.
We'll do the week after.
Motherfucker. I would like to do, drum roll, I would like to do Anthrax.
Okay.
Because Renee likes Anthrax.
Sure.
And of the snapshot...
Everybody likes Megadeth.
Oh, really?
Well, we're doing them the week after.
We'll
you think I'm doing a Does Metal Have Soul podcast and not talking about Megadeth, the greatest metal band of all time?
But you've got a chubber for fucking Megadeth. I get it. Why don't you just have sex with Dave Mustaine? Levi and Dave sitting in a tree.
Fingering each
Fucking.
other's butthole for free?
Ew. Ooh.
Okay.
Rather you than me.
That's all we have for you. So leave comments below, subscribe, tell your friends.
Thank you for listening.
I'm just slipping into old Guitar Soul signing off. Tell your friends, tell your enemies.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, mate, we're not Guitar Souls, okay? We're not. We're something different. We're
That's
a different beast.
So until next time.
I don't know why I got really raging about that for a second. Pretend raging.
Until next time.
Suck a bag of Richards. Suck a bag of Richards. Yeah. Woo! War Ensemble. War Ensemble.
I mean...
War Ensemble.
I'm a wombo.
I don't know. I literally don't know.